Hey guys, I hope you're doing well. It's been a long time. I haven't been recording, I haven't been doing much fish stuff, and actually I've been quite burnt out on my fish tanks. However, I'm getting back into it, and I was in Colombia for a week trip because I am Colombian and I was going to visit where my dad is from. And I had the opportunity to see a fish store while I was there, and it was one of the best things of the whole trip because I always like visiting fish stores in other countries because they always have something different or new, or they do things in a different way. So this video is going to be about my trip to Colombia and visiting that fish store. I'll give you guys a little bit of that trip. I did a lot of things like paragliding, ATVing, horseback riding, just seeing some beautiful countryside, and just overall had a great time. And it was something that I will never forget. And of course, while I was there, I had to see if there was any fish stores in the area, and I was in the town of Medellin, and one of the Airbnbs we were at, or hostels should I say, actually had a fish store like less than 5-10 blocks away. So we took a trip to there, and as we approached the store, it was this small little store with like a little sign, and had this like tanks. As you walked in, there were just tanks all down one side, and all the lights were off. So we asked the store owners if they could kindly turn on the lights, which they did, and we got to go through all the tanks and see all the fish. Now, as I was walking down, I was hoping to find something super unique or super cool that I haven't seen in the United States like I normally do. And I did see some pretty cool blue rams that were like long fin that you don't typically see in the United States. And I also noticed they had a lot of goldfish and koi, which I think is just more common maybe for the area. But they also had some discus and some beautiful other fish and cichlids. All their systems were run on air. Of course, they had glowfish as part of their displays. They had the typical bread and butter like neon tetras, guppies, mollies, whatever you want to call it. What I was also happy to see is they had a plant section, because I know in some stores and even in the United States, plants are relatively new in the aquarium hobby, where like not a lot of aquariums have plants in their tanks yet, and it's something that's been booming in the last couple years. So they also had a huge plant section, which was really interesting to see, and they had a lot of cool dry goods, a lot of cool rocks. I thought about buying one so I could put it in one of my tanks. Unfortunately, I didn't though. The best thing so like you go down this aisle, right, and you're seeing these beautiful tanks, all the fish, right? Nothing's catching my eye. Nothing's really surprising me. However, when I turn the corner and go around, I see they have a beautiful, beautiful display tanks that I didn't see before. And one of them is like a canal tank where it has two sides, and on either side is built up with plants and rocks and water, and then in the middle is like a canal with flowing water where the fish hang out. And that was super cool to see. Hadn't seen a tank like that in person. All the edges, there was no borders on the tanks, and it was just really cool. There wasn't a high light, so it looked very natural in its scape, which was also really unique. And it had like ferns growing out of it, and it makes me want to have one of those tanks here. My biggest concern of those tanks is that the humidity would be really high in my bedroom. But if you don't have like, if that's not a concern, or you're outside, or the space is okay, or you have dehumidifiers, then by all means, right, you could do that. Then as you continue down the store, I thought this was the coolest tank, but it wasn't. You can see a fully planted tank, and I forgot the gallons on it. I think it was like 230 gallons, something like that. And then it was just fully planted, huge rainbow fish, some of the biggest swordtails and mollies I've ever seen. It was fully planted, beautiful colors of the plants, and the full grown in, and immediately I knew it had to be on CO2. And then I checked, and it had like a giant CO2 tank in the back, and I was like, of course, which also made me want to do CO2. I've never done CO2 on my tanks. So that is definitely something I need to look into doing in the future. Overall, I was just super impressed by the huge planted tank they had. It was just beautiful. I took like a few minutes to just stand there and look at it and appreciate it, because those are just one of those tanks that take a lot of work, a lot of time, and just a lot of patience to really get to where you want them to be. And it's just something that's super natural, and they just have a bunch of community fish in them, which also makes it really unique in its own way. It doesn't have to be a perfect tank, with just perfect fish all the time. Something, of course, I had to check out was their discus. I noticed they had discus, and I did the conversion on the prices, which is about 80,000 pesos, which would convert to around 4,000 pesos per US dollar. So that's probably roughly around 80,000 pesos divided by 4,000 pesos roughly for the conversion rate. You're at roughly $20 per fish. Now, they were pretty small, so that's not too off in the United States. Here at my local fish store, a discus this small, about like 1-2 inches, is about $35. So yes, you're getting a better deal. The discus did look pretty good. They didn't look unhealthy by any means. You know, they're probably eating bloodworms or other foods that the shop would give them. And it was just overall a great visit. I was just happy to be in a fish store in another country and just seeing a lot of cool fish. They had danios, lots of goldfish, which I need to get goldfish for the pond out there. That'll be in another video. And to be honest, guys, like, I originally had planned this trip to go to Colombia to record fish stores, and then this trip became about going with family and friends, and I completely forgot about going to go see fish stores. So then when I was there, I just immediately remembered, like, hey, is there any fish stores nearby? And we luckily found this one, and my friends and family came with me. Ended up being a really fun thing because nobody else is into fish, but I am, and people were asking questions. But it was just really cool, and overall had a great time. It did re-spark my passion for the hobby. To be honest, the hobby has been quite stressful for me lately, and I've just been getting kind of burnt out on it. I have I had 9 fish tanks, and now I'm down to 5. So I'm trying to slowly sell off some of the fish, move some of the fish to 1 tank, and just slowly get down to tanks that are more manageable and that I have more time to do now that I'm quite busy with work and volleyball and hanging out with friends. I definitely want to, enjoy my fish tanks a little bit more. I had got into the hobby to breed the fish, and then unfortunately I didn't end up breeding them because I just got busy and focused on other things. But now going to see fish stores and other places, it really brought the enjoyment that I once felt for the fish again, and just it gave me a lot of new ideas to do with my fish tanks and how I want to take care of my fish, or new tank setups and whatnot. So please ignore the tanks in the background full of algae. That is a work in progress. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys enjoyed me sharing my trip to Colombia with you. Have a great day, and I hope you're doing awesome.